Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you all for attending. The conference has been called by the Friends of a Free Iran Intergroup in the European Parliament. I'm Struan Stevenson, the chairman of that intergroup. Can I introduce Richard Falber from the Socialist Group in the Parliament, Tuna Kilam from the EPP Group in the Parliament, and both of them will be joining me in saying a few words. We have very strong intelligence now that points to the fact that the attack involving 40 107mm rockets was perpetrated and organized by the Quds force of the Iranian regime with the coordinated assistance of the Iraqi authorities. Now, the reason I know this, and we have the names of the people who were involved in organizing this, on the direct responsibility and the direct instructions of Khamenei, the supreme leader in Iran, and his puppet government in Iraq. We have the names of those people who led this attack, but the reason we are sure of this intelligence and its veracity is because the attack originally involved 100 rockets. It was to take place in 2 waves. The first wave of rockets were to be launched, as they were indeed, in the early hours of the morning, and 1 hour later a second wave of 60 rockets were to be fired, causing widespread massacre and mayhem while the rescue operation was going on inside Camp Liberty, involving those who'd been killed and injured in the first wave of attacks. These were highly professional, targeted rockets. And we have information that they were taken from Baghdad airport in Iraqi military ambulances to a launch site where they were hidden inside tents that had been previously erected within the security zone that surrounds Baghdad airport. You require to go through 7 military checkpoints to reach this position. It is impossible that this launch site could have been utilized without the coordinated help of the Iraqi authorities. And the reason, again, that we know this is because the second wave with 60 rockets were stopped by the Iraqi police, who had not been informed fully of what had been intended. They arrested these people when they found the rockets in their vehicles, and very quickly thereafter, on the instructions of the Iraqi government, they were released and fled back to Iran. But let me just roll back the time to over a year ago, when we were told that the 3,100 people in Camp Ashraf, their home for the last 26 years, would require to apply to the UNHCR for asylum status so that they would immediately become under the protection of the United Nations, and that they then would be individually interviewed to be given full refugee status so that they could be resettled in countries of safety in Europe and America and elsewhere. And in meetings that I had with Antonio Guterres, the High Commissioner for Refugees in Geneva, he told me that this would be a smooth revolving door process where they would be moved from Ashraf to Camp Liberty. In Camp Liberty they would be interviewed, they would be provided with refugee status and taken out quickly to countries of safety. And that meantime, their safety was guaranteed. We had this assurance from none other than Martin Kobler, UNAMI's chief inside Iraq. And he brought to us in the European Parliament, to myself, Tuna, Alejo Vidal-Quadras and other colleagues, a book of photographs of Camp Liberty showing us what a beautiful place this was and how we should not be afraid to urge the people of Camp Ashraf to move there. Subsequently, one of the senior officials from UNAMI in Baghdad, who I had worked with over many years, who was an expert in Camp Ashraf, resigned from his career in the United Nations, Tahar Boumedra, because he told us he had been forced to doctor all of these photographs, he and the other UNAMI staff, by Martin Kobler, so that we could be hoodwinked into persuading the people in Camp Ashraf that they should move to these wonderful conditions. And now we have seen that even the guarantees of safety for these people were a complete lie. And I just want to add something else here. The German ambassador to Iraq made a statement the other day after the massacre, regretting the massacre, and saying that she congratulated Martin Kobler and the Iraqis on providing security for the people in Camp Liberty. And she urged the leadership of the people in Camp Liberty to give these residents their freedoms. In other words, almost indicating that the people in Liberty were the oppressors rather than the oppressed. Unbelievable. But then you discover that the German ambassador to Iraq is the wife of Martin Kobler, and all becomes clear. So I find this absolutely detestable and unacceptable that these people have been placed in this predicament. They're living in porta cabins, flimsy, paper-thin porta cabins, but nevertheless, when attacked by 40 missiles, these porta cabins provide no shelter but shatter, sending shrapnel in a wide area, causing horrific death and destruction. 7 people died in the attack on the 9th of February. I've seen the photographs, which turned my stomach. 100 people injured, many of them critically. They were even denied the ability to take their body armor and hard hats from Ashraf to Camp Liberty. And since the attack on the 9th of February, they have asked once again permission to have these hard hats and body armor brought to them. And they have been denied that permission by the Iraqi government, who have now said, surprise, surprise, that they cannot guarantee that there won't be renewed rocket attacks on Camp Liberty. Well, I'm not surprised, because they helped to coordinate the last one. And I hold to account Nouri al-Maliki, the Prime Minister of Iraq, certainly the disgraceful, oppressive regime in Tehran, but also Baroness Ashton, who for the past year, having urged us to move the people from Ashraf to Liberty, has done nothing to help their resettlement. In 1 year, only 7 of these refugees have been taken out of Camp Liberty and taken to countries of safety. So now, today, I call for all of these people, the 3,100 who remain in Camp Liberty, to be taken back immediately to Camp Ashraf, which is 80 times larger, has concrete buildings and bunkers, where at least they may enjoy some measure of safety. And from there, we urge Ashton to get moving with the United Nations and get these people out of Iraq to countries of safety in the EU and the US. We cannot tolerate that we sit and wash our hands and allow these people to become the victims of further vicious attacks of this type. Can I now call on my good friend Tuna Keelan to say a few words?
Yes, good morning. I fully agree with my colleague Stevenson. My question is, how many people need to die before European Union and US will start to do something concrete? Because all the warnings have been given. And as you know, part of the deal that inhabitants of Camp Ashraf decided to leave for this unpredictable and uncertain situation in Camp Liberty was the promise that their safety will be guaranteed, but now it's obvious there's a perfect cooperation between Iraqi regime and Iranian regime. And it's obvious that there'll be no safety for these people. The first thing, of course, is to allow them to return to their previous camp, which is well prepared for possible attacks. I visited this camp now almost 4 years ago, and from there to be taken to the countries which can guarantee their safety and liberty.
Thank you very much.